Okay, Dave, thanks for talking to us. Again, it's another 3-game week and an extra one in terms of an under-23 fixture as well. But first of all, just looking back over the weekend, you safely negotiated your tricky FA Cup draw. It was never an easy draw going away to Bolton. You're safely through to tonight's draw. And I think when you've looked over the weekend, that romance of the FA Cup is still very much alive, isn't it?
Yeah. I think the results that come in on Saturday, there was plenty of cup upsets, and that's what you've got to avoid. You know, I can remember we was on the telly last year at Eastleigh, and if the telly turns up, they're expecting a shock, or they think there's one on the cards. And then obviously the results, saw some games yesterday, and there were plenty of non-league teams that had the chances yesterday to cause upsets. Obviously Chorley did, with a terrific achievement to come from 2 down at Wigan. And that's, like I said to you on Friday, that's the beauty of the cup. That's why it's the best cup competition in the world, in any sport, because, you know, you won't get 25 lads in the DW Stadium singing Adele for any other reason in the FA Cup. It's as simple as that. It's magic.
As you say, it's magic, and the magic of it is that the draw is tonight and your football club's in it. I don't care, again, what you say. It attracts everybody's attention. I think even you and your wife and your daughters were watching last time around, and we'll expect the same again come 7 o'clock this evening.
Yeah. We'll all be there, glued to the telly. See what, see who's doing the draw and see if they can pull a good draw out for us, and then, get his head around it, and obviously just then focus on tomorrow.
Just put it into perspective, the win was just what you required. You always say in football, don't you? Your next game that you're playing is the one that was important after Tuesday night. You went there on Saturday and did the result professionally.
Yeah, like you said, it's a tricky game. Bolton have underperformed probably this season. I think it was actually a good thing that we've played them twice already. I'm including the last pre-season game and obviously the EFL trophy, because we knew exactly what they were. And we'd scored 3 goals in each of them games as well. So, yeah, it was still a banana skin, but one that we thankfully didn't stand on.
Well, as you say, your attention switched again to more cup football. You just mentioned there that Bolton was a victory for you in the opening game, and it was followed up by beating Newcastle under 21s. You've put yourself in a very strong position. You just played for top of the table. But the good thing is you've got what you wanted out of it to qualify, first of all, for the knockout stages.
Yeah, I think that's, I think if you do it after certainly a 3-match group, if you like, to do that after 2 games is good. So, yeah, it's a bit of a free hit tomorrow. I'm sure Shrewsbury will be making as many changes as they can, and the games are coming thick and fast, and it's an opportunity for the fringe players to state their claim. So, and we want to win the game. Winning games breeds confidence, gets momentum, and you've got to take every opportunity that comes your way.
Yeah, I think Omar Beckles mentioned that last week when we interviewed him. Unfortunately, at times losing can become a habit, but there's nothing better than having that winning habit, is there?
Is that winning and losing are both habits? So that's why Saturday is important. That's why this game is important as well.
And when you just mentioned about Shrewsbury making changes, is that similar for you? I know you have the rules that you have to play X amount of players that have been involved at the weekend, but are you in that same boat? Is that how you're viewing it? Is it a real game that you can see how some of your boys are improving and progressing?
Yeah, there's a bit of that. There's obviously the rules of the competition. There's a bit of they need to keep playing. So there's all that. We're not. It's again football at the end of the day, and the first team game at that, in a trophy that ends up at Wembley. So you can't take it lightly, but at the same time, you've got to try and do the right things by your players when you've already qualified in the competition. So there's all that to throw into the mix, and we'll see what we come up with.
I think if you look back, if you do give opportunities to players, that is what they have to grab. I think a year or so ago, Travis Johnson went out to Mansfield and played in it and played well. I'm just going to bring him into the equation a little bit more now because he came out and had 15 to 20 minutes on Saturday at a very impressive stadium and looked very good and accomplished. How sort of satisfying is that when you see them type of players getting the opportunity of how much they've progressed under the work they do on the training ground?
Yeah, that's the name of the game that with us, with other staff at this football club, it's certainly not. We're definitely not a first team squad only group of staff, group of players. It's everyone is on their own development path, and everyone's got to keep developing. You've got to remember that Travis went out on loan last year to Whitton, and it doesn't half stand him in good stead. Leo's been out on loan. Regan was at Whitton until it's just been cut short. You've got Joe Robbins and Billy Sass-Davis, who both played for Altrincham in the National League on Saturday. So there's a development going on behind the scenes every day with players that maybe fans don't see on a Saturday afternoon or a Tuesday night because they're in someone else's first team or they're doing it somewhere else, as well as getting the technical development and the tactical sort of nuances that are required on the training pitch. So that's always been the case while I've been manager. And I think that does now stand us in good stead. I think that was, I think when we've previously put players straight into the first team without going out on loan, that can be a very short, sharp shock. And I think it sets the players up to fail. Where they can have that shock 2 leagues lower, 4 leagues lower, so that they're not exposed as much and they know what first team football is all about, because it is distinctly different to academy football. It is. So, that development does go, so that when you do see someone like Travis come on the first team pitch and Rio, he made his debut against Aston Villa. He played ever so well. There's a whole backstory, not just from sort of 9-16, but from a sort of professional development sort of journey as well, where they've had to get used to the intensity of training in that when they're first year pros, get their fitness, get more robust, physically better, and they've got to play well in the 23s. Then they've got on loan and somewhere. I'm not particularly fussed where first loan spell, I have to say, because it's important that they understand what men's football's about and they see the cut and thrust of it. And then we set them off on their journey back to our first team in coupled with 23s football. So all in all, we feel as though we're getting that bit right to a large extent. That's why your Josh Lundstroms of this world and your Travises and your Rios are making, and your Luke Offords are making a decent impression when they do get their chance.
Well, let's go to the other end of the scale then, because you spoke briefly about it at the weekend. Mikel Mandron's come. He's 26 years of age. He's got 6 goals already. And you said that you'd had a chat with him and he wanted to chat with you about how it was all going for him and what you could learn between each other. How refreshing is that, that you've got somebody at 26 prepared to come and chat with the manager?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's uncommon, but I wouldn't say it's common either. James Jones used to come in regularly. He was a learner, he was a thinker. Mickey's the same. I think it's the first time, I think you can ask Mickey yourself, but I think it's the first time he's probably had to use his brain on a football pitch as opposed to his natural ability. And he understands now how powerful his brain can make his natural abilities. And if he uses his brain really well, he'll score goals, which is, I think he's already scored as many as he did last year for Gillingham. So, it is a pleasing thing for a manager when players want to continually learn and ask you questions. But that's not to say the players that don't come and see us. Kenny had an hour with Callum Ainley last week and with Luke Murphy. So it's not just, it's any of the staff. I know that Alex has spoke to a few of the younger boys. So, again, that's all part of their individual development, individual journey, so that they become better prepared. And that doesn't stop at young pros, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds, that equates to 26-plus-year-olds. We had a very similar conversation with Chris Porter last year. After the Cambridge game, I think, at home. No, it wasn't. No, it was someone at home. I can't remember who it was at home. And that's why they're in the game, because they're constantly having to learn. Because if they don't, them young pros come and have their dinner. They come and take their place in the team. And Mika's no different. Chris Porter's no different. And they've got to keep developing and keep learning, and that makes us better as a team.
And just briefly going back to what you've got coming up, it is a busy week. I know you got your under-23s game today, as well as ahead of tomorrow. Then Saturday, Peterborough come, and you've got a few injuries as well. At the moment, just bring us up to date with how they are. Is it nothing serious? You've got 4 or 5, I think, just in that treatment room, have you?
Well, Chris got injured in the warm-up last Saturday, which was a bit of a blow. But it's not too serious. Obviously, Josh Lundstrom has got his stress fracture. Mer's got a little growing twinge, but he'll be fine. More precautionary with him. Donovan's on his way back. So he's close. I'm trying to think who else he is.
Yeah, Perry come off at the weekend.
Pez is fine.